Good evening. Welcome to the NUFTV talk channel. This is going to be a little bit of a chat regarding the match against Hull today. Apologies to start with, because literally we've been plagued by electronic problems today, and whatever happened this afternoon has taken out one of my cameras. So I am literally looking down at my only camera that I've got. I just haven't had a chance to set it up anywhere else. So you will see me looking above you, and you may be looking up my nose. And I do apologise for any unsightly scenes. But before we get into the lads in the panel, this is a show for you guys watching. So I'm going to put up on the screen in a moment the link for you to come on board and have your say. We've got one of our overseas guests with us who's going to talk about, obviously, the costs of what it's taken to do this. So he's got another view on the game, and obviously the 6 friendly matches that he subscribed to. We've had some issues today, and I'm sure there's 1 or 2 guys that are actually out there watching have also incurred problems. So what we thought we'd do, we'd obviously talk about issues first, and then it gives you a chance then to write down the link, get it up onto your phone or your computers, and come across and join us to have your say about the game. So let's do some housework before we start. Welcome to all watching across all the platforms. Thanks to all the mods that work in the background. Don't forget to hit the like button if you enjoy the show, or dislike if you don't. It just gets us out there to a wider audience. Subscribe, it's totally free. Hit the bell for future content. And if you want to support the channel, become a member. It's a small monthly fee that gives you a chance to win a prize. Don't forget to check out the webpage, NUFC Talk TV, for up-to-date content. And as it's gone really quiet, it's not been updated for a few days, but it is completely ad-free, and it's done literally for the love of the club. It just gives you another platform where you can actually go out there and have a read. If you are one of those guys that don't want to come and show your face on screen, then please put a Q in front of your question, just so we can highlight it. Today's show is literally all about the game. We're not going to be talking about incomings or outgoings or anything like that. We're just going to concentrate on the
What
game.
incomings?
Yeah, exactly. So apologies for not mentioning any of the viewers' chats. We will be literally just looking at questions about the game. But if you do want to be mentioned, then hit the $sign, and we will guarantee to highlight that chat. But all new members and gifted memberships will be highlighted and thanked as we go on to the show. So, gentlemen, like I say, I am going to be looking up, so it looks a little bit strange on screen, and I apologise for that, because that's all I've got. We've got Win, we've got our lovely Jim from over the pond. He's the lad who's going to be talking about the issues, and we've got our very own Paul, who's still in Hull. He's up there, still hitting the aisle, I would imagine, and still celebrating the results.
The
So,
wonder goal
Jim,
from Jacob Murphy.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, Jim, we're going to come over to you. And like I say, while you're doing your spiel, I'm just going to be setting up the link on the screen for all the guys that are watching. And then, like I say, you can come on board and join us on view. So, Jim, fire away with your issue.
So I don't have an issue with paying or watching the preseason matches. I'm not mad at the pricing of the preseason matching. I think my major issue came down to is there's other commercial avenues that I think that the club could still attack as far as making profit before turning towards their individual fan bases to pay £9, £15, £25, whatever they did for these 6 matches alone. I've heard, you hear people talking, where's the training kit sponsors? Where's the training ground naming rights? Other commercial aspects of sponsorship put, say, in the stadium, which would equal probably a lot more than what they made off of this package. And I'm frozen.
I know you're good.
I mean, one thing about you know,
I was
bringing
just
in the
listening
new
to you, mate.
sponsor,
That was all.
stadium sponsors, is
Wins the one freezing.
is the fact that we of course are waiting for to see how the Man City court case goes, because sponsors now. I beg your pardon?
Oh, I was just thinking, like, you could
You're
wait.
breaking up.
I'm saying we'll
Yeah.
be able to get.
You are very
said-
laggy, my friend. I don't know what's happening.
I'll just come off everything.
Yeah, yeah.
The thing I had today, to add to this, Gary, the thing I had a lot today, talking with the fans, you know, a lot of fans have got on the plus, you know, the Mags Plus thing. And even though some of them are at the game today, they're a bit pissed about, you know, they've paid over the top for this Plus membership because they thought they're getting all the big perks. And then even though they've done that, they're still having to pay for pre-season games. I mean, I know it's only like under a tenner, but surely if you're on the top tier of like a membership, why aren't you getting all the games for free? Because you're on the top tier.
Yeah.
That's been a big thing of, you know, in the you know, in the ground today, talking to a lot of the guys. That's been the big qualm of you know, people like saying that their friends or family are watching it or whatever, but they're a bit aggrieved because they paid for the top tier of Mags Plus, and you know, I know it's a minimal fee, but they've already paid like what, 40 odd quid for the Mags Plus.
45 quid, yeah,
Do you know
exactly.
what I mean? That's no short change, and then you're paying another 10 quid for some pre-season matches that, you know, second half, we all knew what second half was going to be when all the changes happened. You know, very bitty, you know, sort of thing, and you know, that's a bit. And I hear there's, you know, tech problems as well.
There was,
Yeah,
at
there
the
was.
very end.
And
So
just to give you an idea, like the US conversion for Mags Plus put us at like 61 USD.
that's crazy. Yeah.
The even with it being 9 quid for the games, that turns into an extra 12 US dollar.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm already at basically 75 US before the first ball was kicked.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
And I think, yeah, I think that's been the biggest problem. I was looking at some of the comments from previous shows, and everybody seems to be on the same wavelength with this. It's like a case of, I understand for the overseas audience, I understand that they can't make it to the game, but like I looked this morning, and the Seller Cup has still loads and loads of tickets left up for sale. So what the people on the street are saying is the fact that because the two teams in the Seller Cup that the men are playing against, not so much the girls, because I think the AC Milan game will be a real classic for them, but the two men's game, there doesn't seem to be lots of appeal. So have they used the wrong clubs to sell the weekend? Now, I'm not just. I think Girona will you know, was a plus because, you know, they did really well in the league. But Brest, I don't think it has as much of a pull in name than a lot of other teams that could have played in this competition. So I understand that people are willing to go and pay, especially if they're Mags. I mean, I'm a Mags member, so I've got all 6 games for $14.99. And like I said before, that to me, okay, I don't get the atmosphere. I don't go and I'm not able to go and sit in the ground and have a few beers. But I worked it out. If I was to literally go up there for a weekend, it'd cost me nigh on £200. Now I've just forked out 250 quid on training gear, new kit, and all that jazz. So I understand where you're coming from, Jim. I really do. And like Paul alluded to, we also had technical issues. My stream didn't start until 5 or 10 minutes into the game.
For God's sake.
Those in America had the end of the game cut off because obviously as soon as the final whistle goes in England, it stops the stream in America. Well, they're 2 minutes behind us by the time it reaches them.
Yes. Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
so you know,
it's an
the
end
whole
stream. It's an end stream, and I know there was still like maybe a minute in regular time, and I'm assuming it went maybe a minute into extra at best.
Yeah, 1 minute, yeah.
Yeah. and that's it. I mean, I understand, the whole point of view of they have to do something to support the overseas because there's been a lot of complaints that they're not able to get to the games. I understand that. There's got to be a lot more airtime. I also understand that if the seller weekend hasn't been a massive seller, that they've also got to try and recoup some of that money that they're expecting on something else.
Very good.
And
Not a
again,
massive seller.
They are really pushing hard to get that stack open for the Saturday weekend. Like
Yeah.
that is
They
their
are.
goal. Their goal is to have that open by the Saturday weekender to try and push that before
They've
before
more or
that.
less guaranteed it's going to be open for the 17th, but if they can get it
Yeah.
open for the 9th.
Yeah, it's touch and go, isn't it? But it makes me laugh though. How much money, how much revenue do you reckon, percentage-wise, they'll take from that?
Oh, I think they'll
Is-
take a fortune.
Quite a
Yeah,
lot.
but do
I
they
think.
do they get a cut from all the establishments that are there?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
I would imagine it's going to be a lot like with the third-party vendors inside of stadiums where they
Yeah.
prepay X amount to be there, and hopefully they make a profit.
Yeah.
So they're guaranteed their money just from booking in this restaurant or that bar or this band. They're going to get their cut before it even opens the doors, and then they're just going to hope to recoup.
Yeah. Right then. Is there anything else, Jim, that you wanted to talk about the
No, like
cost?
my big thing was, like I said, it was just kind of like, because figure, what would you guess is there's no numbers that ever come out on this thing, but how many would you imagine have signed up for this preseason package?
I would imagine
Worldwide.
there's thousands. Yeah, I think
Worldwide.
there's. I mean, if you, like I say, you look at just in England. I mean, we all signed up for it as soon as it was available, because for me, I wanted to go to the games. Unfortunately, I'm not able to because I'm caring for my partner. So like the seller weekend,
I
even
would
though I've
guess
done it,
minimum 100,000.
So
easy.
if you take it at 100,000 and you put it at the average price, because they had the $9 tier, the $15 or 15-pound tier, and the 25-pound tier, right? So at average let's call it 15. Yeah, so at average at 15. If 50,000 people signed up for it, that's only $750K. That doesn't move the needle on PSR in any capacity. At 100,000, sure, you'll put it at over $1 million, but that still doesn't move the needle.
Well, it's $1 million it wouldn't have had.
And that's the thing, isn't it?
And we're acting like a club that's got no money anyway.
Yeah, we are.
We are. For Christ's sake,
I think everybody's aware. It's not that we haven't got any money. It's that we're not allowed to spend it unless we can prove we're taking it. And this is getting back to the sponsors deal, Jim. That Man City, with this current case against the Premier League for anti-competitive practices with the associated party transactions, if we were to do those deals now, they have to be done under the HPT restrictions. So they would say that, Saudi are not allowed to pay us more than £7 million a season, for the sake of argument. Whereas if Man City win that case, they can pay 100 million a season.
Yeah, but they could do a 1-year contract for the right money right now and see what happens.
Yeah.
No, because they can't actually do the deal until it's signed off by the Premier League watchdog.
I'm saying they could do it under the current terms correctly now and wait to see if we can blast it out next year with, if Man City win. They could do a short-term contract for immediate money.
You're potentially losing a season's money there.
Yeah, B is saying that no way they did 100,000 pay-per-view buys. Lucky if they did 20. I don't know. I'll be surprised.
Hang on, they've got 60,000 members.
Yeah, and it's not just like I say, it's just the way I look at it is they've obviously tried to sell the memberships off through this program, haven't they? So there's going to be a lot more that will have jumped on the boat because, like Jim, like Chris, like me and you, we've all got that opportunity to watch 6 games for a minimal price at the comfort of our own game. That's a selling point in its own. I also agree to a point what Jim was saying. On top of everything else that you have just spent out, especially the people that have got Mags Plus. I mean, I know it's still a good discount, but I still do think that would have been a better. It would have been a much happier way of dealing with it if it wasn't so expensive. That's how I look at it. Maybe they could have done it like a £5, a tenner, 15, rather than go through the mill like they have. But again, it's about making money, and they're a business. And if it wasn't for us daft lot buying it, they wouldn't have done anything with it, would they? So I suppose they've got
we all paid. We paid at the end of the day. We all paid.
Saying. And we're not we're not the only ones on this. Right then, guys, I think
let's get on with the match.
Yeah, let's get on with the match. So what I was gonna do, I was gonna go around Win, Jim, Paul, just go with your views on what you saw, and then what I'm going to do, I'm going to put the team up, and then we'll go through individual player, and we'll do an average marking of what we thought that individual player scored. So, Win, what did you think of the game?
Well, let's go to Paul first, because he was actually there in the flesh.
Yeah, go on.
What was the vibe around the ground?
Oh, I'll tell you what, it's just so great to be back with it within the fans. I mean, about 4,500 of us were in there, and it was just, spine tingling. It was just amazing. That I know that most fans say this, but I doubt anyone's as good as us. It's an away at Hull on an afternoon at 2:00, and we are just, everyone's singing, everyone's, it's just brilliant. I wouldn't say everyone's positive about this season, but it was nice to be back.
No.
There's still some annoyance on the sign-in, still some annoyance on Almiron getting a lot of pelters. But no, yeah, but it was brilliant. Just the atmosphere, being back, and seeing a few of the guys that I've known. It's just been really nice today. The whole fans are really nice as well, very welcoming. We shared some stories about Alan Pardew headbutting.
I was going to ask him about that. Was there any stories?
So there's a few people who remember that very clearly. The headbutt incident, and a few Hull fans who were like, is Eddie Howe going to 2-foot someone or something to commemorate it? But no, it was really It was really.
What did you think of the actual match, team selection, etc., etc.?
I mean, we did. I think he played a very strong starting 11 with what we had. Some people are still coming back from holiday, obviously. Hull are obviously they're ahead of us physically. I think you saw that in the first 10-15 minutes. I mean, I think the championship starts. Is it 2 weeks before the Premier League normally?
Yeah.
So Hull have already had quite a lot of. Yeah, so they looked a bit ahead of us at the start, and then the quality I saw, the quality kind of came in after that. We get the goal, and then I think we kind of, then the changes in the second half. I think that's the thing that changes it all the time. But I thought Mayu looked very good.
Yeah,
I really, enjoyed his performance.
Yeah,
Joey looked, he is coming back. Yeah, Joey was coming back to fitness. Isaac, he is ice cold as always. I thought the whole goalkeeper had a decent game as well, actually, because we probably could have had 2 or 3 others.
Well,
Nick Pope did well with his.
The whole keeper played sweeper most of the game, didn't he?
Didn't he? Yeah.
And
then
he was at least.
And then we saw what we missed from Nick Pope.
Absolutely.
I don't know how Kraft and Burn are playing at. I mean, Christ, both trying to jump on each other. But yeah, I mean, Pope's has made himself really big, and it's the only thing he's reacted to in the whole game, really. So I thought it was, it's a pre-season, fitness in the legs, and the lads will be going off to Japan now, won't they?
They will. Saturday, isn't it? They travelled.
Yeah.
Andy kept them all on for over the hour mark, which I was.
Yeah, around that, wasn't it, when he started changing it?
Yeah.
64 was the first substitution.
That's right. Yeah.
And we didn't get, and the rumours are not true. We didn't get beat like 9 Burnley. I mean, I don't know where that rumour started, but we did not get beat 9 behind closed doors against Burnley. There's no truth to that.
No. There's no truth to any of the score because not even, well, I'm not saying all journos don't know the score because there's one or two that have hinted that they know the score because it's been leaked from Burnley. But obviously it can't be known as common knowledge because it interferes with Tonali's agreement. And the reasons why that game was completely hush-hush because it wasn't accredited by the FA. It was actually done on a training ground as a training setup. So it doesn't need to be registered with the Football Association. So that's the reasons why Tonali was able to play. But obviously, if any information comes out on the team lineup or the actual score, then it needs to be affiliated to the Football Association. So, you know, I understand it. But from my point of view, I'm still surprised. I don't know about you guys, why we still haven't seen Longstaff, Kelly, that have been at the club for a few months now. I know Longstaff's obviously just come back from his cricket season, but he wasn't even in the squad to be named. No Miggy. Obviously, there's no trips because he's gone on an extended holiday, the same as
Miggy's
Gordon.
still on Copa America leave.
No, he's not.
No.
He's back with Shah.
He was
in the training setup.
Yeah, he was in the training picks.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. So
it was Joe White. I was surprised to see missing.
Oh yeah, Joe.
With that many younguns on the bench, I thought Joe White might even have started instead of Miley.
Absolutely.
But that could be something to do with the way they're performing in training.
It may be, or like I say, the lads
because
that have just come back.
Miley looked decent.
I thought he looked very comfortable on the ball. He didn't look out of place whatsoever. He got the assist for Murphy's goal.
It wasn't a goal.
Cross shot, yeah. So I mean, you know, if you look at it from that point of view, I thought the lad did really well. But we'll get on to individuals in a second. Jim, what's your thoughts of the game over there in America?
Well, with Hull was looking good for I don't want to say the better team, but they were looking strong for the first 20 minutes. I don't think we even really started a strong press until about the 25th minute. So really that first half was really about 20 minutes long of the game plan, in my opinion. I think the second half was looking a continuation of that, but it died off real flat, especially when we started getting the kids on, but that's expected.
Yeah.
I would say Hall Murphy was everywhere. Murphy was playing the farthest back on defense and the farthest forward on an attack. He was everywhere. Hull actually looked really. We made Hull look good on their right side. They were playing a lot of like the triangles that normally you would see like 2 seasons ago, like the trips. And Bruno and Miggy. You know, like they were playing that game against us down our right side that whole first 20 minutes. But once we started the press, you knew that Hull wasn't going to do anything.
No.
Yeah.
No.
I think that's fair.
Win, what was your thoughts, matey? Because obviously you was part of the commentary team with us.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
this afternoon,
the first thing was it was a good run out, and I was pleased with that he hadn't just sort of thrown the game away. That was started with what was probably the best 11 he could muster out of what he had available.
Yeah.
And there were some really good passing moves. Both of the goals were the result of, 4 and 5 pass moves.
Yeah.
Which was great to see. But Jim, you're saying you thought Hull looked decent. I thought Hull looked poor.
It's just down that right side. It was down that right side. They made some quick, easy movements down that right side. They couldn't finish, but they were making us look poorer than we should be.
I was looking at that whole team, and I can see why they've gotten beat 5-4 in the previous.
But don't forget, last year they were close to being in the playoffs. You know, they did take the championship down to the last few games before. I mean, obviously they've lost some of their talent because I can't think of the lad's name now that's gone and re-signed for the
Philomena
Bill.
or somebody's gone, and he was their top man.
Yeah.
It's gone now. It's gone out of my head. But the way I looked at it, I like the fact that we dropped into our normal tactical, 4-5-1 when we were on the low block, because then obviously it made them make that decision. And what I couldn't understand was the fact that they were trying these little aerial balls, and 90% of the time they were directed towards Big Dan Burn, who was just like obviously, eating them up for drink really. And I thought that was a bit of a sloppy tactic on their behalf, if that's what they've decided to go ahead and do. So from that aspect, it was like a case of why would you go and do that? And obviously that's the way they've obviously been training. It's the old way we've been looking at all last season, where when we come on the defensive side, so we've just tried to instill that back and try to get players to play in a certain way, in a certain position, collect the ball again, and then move forward really quick. And what I did notice today, I mean, Crafty made some nice balls. He played some nice long balls. Not everything worked out, but at least he tried them. So he tried to change play. Lewis Hall, to me, was absolutely outstanding.
Yeah,
I thought he was.
Yeah.
I thought Lewis Hall was the lad who obviously worked the channels, read the game really well, defended really well, fell into left back when Jamal Lewis went on a run to support and cover. And it makes me wonder, whether going forward, obviously now we've got two very attacking fullbacks.
Hey, sorry for the chat. My accent, Hull, not Hall. Sorry.
Yeah, Hull. Yeah. So if you look at the way we play, would they consider moving? Like last year when Dan Burn was left back and Trips or Tino, whoever played right back, would go on his mazy run and we'd trickle a 3-back. So Dan Burns would stay deep and they'd move cross one. So they'd play 3. I'm wondering this year whether we would be doing it on the left side, because our left side is the strongest side. And if you notice when Jamal Lewis, Harvey Barnes,
Jamal Lewis had a good game.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't think he had a bad game whatsoever.
That brings me up to the other point I was going to make was the commentator's curse, right? Because we'll put some lovely crosses in that Isaac just didn't even attempt to go for in the air at all. And so I say, he seemed to be back on his heels and too slow. And then lo and behold, he taps up with what is a typical Isaac goal, a lovely little bit of finesse. But he isn't a centre forward. And we had Lewis Hall putting some lovely crosses in. Murphy put a couple of good crosses in as well.
Yeah, he did.
And,
absolutely.
And if we'd had a centre forward there, it might have been a different story.
I don't know what's happened to your mate Colin, because obviously Colin was on with us and then he's disappeared. So I don't know whether you're still around, Colin. But like I say, the link, guys, is obviously still on the screen. We're going to go and do some player individual scores now. Talk about them individually. So
right now, I got to get going, so I got to get the train. But I'll see you on the next one. Yeah,
enjoy.
Well, thanks ever so much, mate. Have a safe journey home.
Yeah, all the best, guys.
Cheers.
Take care, mate. So what I'll put on the screen now is the team that started against Hull. So we'll start with Nick Pope. Thoughts on Nick Pope then, Win?
Well, everything he was required to do, he did comfortably. He took a couple of decent high balls. He made that one exceptional save.
Yeah, that was on pure instinct.
And for somebody who's unemployed for most of the game, that's what that concentration is what half of a goalkeeper's job is.
Absolutely. Now,
And very
I
good.
mean, he had that real point blank save, didn't he? That reaction save from
Yeah.
6 or 7 yards that he didn't really have time to do. And like I say, if the player, the Hull player, had have used his instep and placed the ball, he would have probably got a better result. But the way he saved that ball with more or less his wrist, just through reaction, really, I thought he had a really solid game. I also thought that the defence played well. And as much as Hull threw a lot at us, and they did have a few half chances. I mean, one very, very good chance that he saved. I thought he was protected really well. And obviously, he got substituted in the second half by Oddy. What was your thoughts on? I tell you what. Let's do.
I thought he was okay as well because he had one thing to do and he did it well.
Yeah. What do you class Nick Pope's rating as out of 10?
He didn't have a lot to do. What he did well, 8 or 9.
Oh, you're going to go high, 8 or 9.
Yeah.
Okay. Jim, what about yourself?
8. He wasn't.
You're going to go 8 as well.
Yeah, okay. Everything that he had to do, he did solid. The only reason that he didn't get hired is he didn't have more to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Right. Well, I was going to give him an 8, so I'm going to go with the vote, which is sorry, I was going to give him a 7, but I'm going to go with the vote, so I'm going to put him as an 8. So, like I say, why is that come up as 6? Have I just typed in 6? Apologies. I wanted to put 8. There you go. But like I say, Vladdy, oh, crikey, what? I'll tell you something now. This is driving me insane today. My computer and everything that's electronic is just not working. Look, it keeps dropping back to 7. He obviously doesn't like 8. Now, I'm not touching that. Stay at 8. Thank you so much. I've either got gremlins around me, or I've got a ghost that keeps on taking all of my lights down, my cameras down, and my Wi-Fi down. So, again, apologies if that was it wasn't my fault. Honestly, I am trying to do my best there. So, like I say, Oddy came on, made some really good saves. Again, with a different. Two the same. Obviously, the two centre halves stayed on the field, and I'm glad they did, because I think that would have created a lot more problems if they'd have changed Kraft or Byrne. I thought Byrne played really well, but obviously changing Jamal Lewis and Livramento did give them the opportunities a little more to come down the wings and put some pressure on us. But I thought Oddy did really well. I didn't think that there was any issues there. So we'll go over to Tino. How do you guys think Tino played?
I thought he had as I say, everybody, you can't really point the finger at anyone and say they had a bad game. I think everybody was above a 7. Did Tino do enough to get an 8? Nah, probably not. So I would say a 7. But he was competent enough with everything he did.
I think if his passing was a little bit tighter and was like there was a couple where he pushed it past Isaac too far. There's a few passes that I think he could have done better with. So yeah, 7's good.
You're going with a 7. I went with a 6. So again, I'll go with the majority, which is 7. I hope it doesn't change before I move any further. So we've got a 7. So
7. He was. Yeah, Bacon agrees.
Yeah. He got substituted quite late on by Alfie Harrison, and it was a shame, because I would have liked to have seen Alfie Harrison a little bit sooner, just to have some game time. I think he was substituted in the 64th minute. Obviously, he didn't go into fullback position, because obviously there was a complete restructure of the team.
I mean, I've got to put my hands up in full surrender. When all of those kids were coming on, I didn't recognise who was who between them.
Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? It is difficult.
Just not being used to seeing them at all. And we didn't have any clue with the numbers anywhere. So
no. That's fair enough. I mean, it's always difficult when the team just gets completely taken apart, if you like, and the game seemed to disappear from the 60th minute, didn't it?
I mean, the game was done then. We'd got out of the game what we needed to get out of it. We'd got some minutes and legs. We'd played some tidy football. They got a bit of a blowout, and all good, all good. That's what pre-season friendlies are for.
Absolutely.
I don't detract from what I said on Friday, which that we had to win.
Yeah,
If we didn't win comfortably, there'd be some questions to answer, but we did exactly that.
I have no issues over the way we played. I'm just going to try, if I can, and bring this up a little bit. I don't know whether you guys can see much of this, or it's not. I don't want to risk too much because, like I say, I think
say those okay.
You can see them okay. That's good.
Yeah.
Because I am working on a different screen, so for me it looks great, but for you guys in the chat and stuff,
we'll not be able to see the numbers, the marks when you put them on the.
No, and I'll tell you what. If I do that, is that better?
Yeah.
So, Emil Kraft. Your thoughts on Emil Kraft?
I think about the same as Tino. He did enough, He had, as Paul said, he had that bit of a mix-up with BDB that led to the shot that Pope saved.
Yeah.
But 7.
And yourself, Jim?
Kraft, I would probably. I have a bad joke about Kraft. I always call him IKEA. He's Swedish. He was cheap, but for the price, he does the job, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I would say Pope would not have to have made that instinctive save if Kraft was positioned better. I would probably give him. I would give him the lowest mark of the starting team today, and I'll be generous at a 6.
Okay. And you said 7 win.
I did.
Can you do me a favour, my friend? Can you keep an eye on the chat for me? Because obviously I am working on a different screen. So average in the chat is around about 7s, do you think?
We haven't got any in for Kraft yet.
So I looked at Kraft and like I say, I think he played half decent. I didn't think he did too much wrong. He played some long balls. He attempted some long balls. Some of them worked, some of them didn't. There was a couple of times where I think, again, this is a player that isn't really a rigid centre back, and I think sometimes he was left a little bit wanting on position. He let us in a couple of times, and the problem is then, you see, is I think like Dan Burn tries to cover too much ground. And like I say, there was a couple of times where Dan was stuck in the middle to try and cover Kraft, and he was caught on the shoulder a couple of times. Recovered, didn't obviously get a shot on target, but I think in the Premiership, obviously, that could be issues, and I think that is the reasons why we are so desperate to obviously bring a right-sided centre back in, because if at this present moment in time, he's the only centre-back available, because obviously Shaw's just come back, but he's going to be a little bit of time to get up to speed.
We've got 100% 7s in the chat.
A lot of 7s, all 7s.
There you go then. So we are going to give him a 7. And to be fair, I had him as a 6. I didn't have him, low. I thought, like I say, because of his attempts with some of the balls, I thought he did really well. So, Big DB, I thought he captained really well. Your thoughts, Win?
Yeah, I thought he had a better game than Kraft the Livramento. I would give him an 8. Nothing spectacular to get him into the 9s and 10s bracket, but absolutely good captain's performance. Did everything that was great. As you said before, won every header that he was anywhere near.
Yeah.
And that's what he's there for.
Jim?
Hey, I always gauge defense on, unfortunately, there's no mistakes. That's unfortunately, like when you're watching on defense, they only get like picked out when they do stuff wrong. When they're doing their job, you don't really speak upon it too much. You just notice it. Yeah, I give him a strong 8 because the captain did a good job. Looked like he was commanding the field. Put in a job.
Yeah, I had him as a 7, and the reasons why he wasn't higher for me was just again a couple of his forward runs. He linked up well. Did and me and Win actually spoke about it actually live during the game, where he made a run into space that obviously you'd got Jamal Lewis, Harvey Barnes, and Lewis Hall, and he made that fourth player where that wasn't being marked. And even though, like I say, he had one touch and it was past only 5 yards, but because of his movement, it allowed other players to move into other spaces. And I thought that again, like we keep saying, it's one of the sign of a good captain because it's becoming a team player. But there was at one point where he actually did one of his mazy runs and lost the ball in midfield, and that was his only bad thing of the game, if I'm honest. So I agree with you guys. I think when you actually look at the overall game, I think his overall defensive performance was a definite 8. I think his link-up play
and the chat agrees with an 8.
Yeah, brilliant. So we're going to go with an 8 for Big DB and the captaincy. Let's see if this changes to a 7. That's gone to a 6. Did you see that?
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on. I am literally jinxed today. I have no idea what's going on. Right, bro. Jamal Lewis. Jamal Lewis, left back today. Again, not expected to play, if I was honest, at the start of the season. I thought he would be one left back with the under-21s and academy, like the other lads. But I've been surprised by him. I've been pleasantly surprised.
Who would you have expected to be there then? Just out of availability.
You've still got, like I said, you've still got Lewis Hall, who's obviously naturally going to play there. And you've got one of the youngsters that could have stepped in, like Alfie Harrison or somebody else that could have gone into midfield.
Or you could have played Byrne there with Murphy, the other Murphy.
Yeah,
fair. Okay, yeah, fair.
And centre half.
Yeah. So there was a lot of choices that they could have gone with. But as Jamal Lewis obviously went out to Germany, and he's obviously trained really well. He was the surprise package this season for me. At the start of this season,
he looks to have been welcomed back into the fold, and by the look of that performance, it looks as though Eddie's magic dust has started to work, because that was the Jamal Lewis that made us pay whatever it was, 12 or 14 million that we paid to Norwich when we got him.
Yeah.
He looked a proper player today. I thought he had a good steady game.
Yeah.
And he was overlapping. He was doing all that stuff. He got, as I say, he got in three great crosses. He surprised me, I tell you that. Because I thought he was deadwood. I thought he was, in with the rest of them and long gone.
Yeah, I agree with that, mate. To be fair, Jim, yourself?
I'm gonna pass on giving a rank because I didn't really take any notes or marks on him, as in I didn't really watch him enough to say what I could, an honest opinion.
Okay, but obviously, also that if you look at that as a positive rather than a negative, is if when some players just go unnoticed. I will. They don't make many mistakes.
I will say, I felt like at that first 20 minutes when Hull was coming down their right side, that's where, between Lewis and Byrne, that's where it was always getting stopped and pushed back the other direction. So,
yeah.
So he was doing his job, in other words.
Correct.
Yeah.
And that's what I said. What I actually loved about Jamal Lewis is, like I say, whenever he went forward, you'd got Harvey Barnes sitting in the half space where the likes of Lewis Hall was supposed to be. Lewis Hall would then just jockey into that mid space between the centre halves and the midfield. So there was cover all the way through the park for me. Didn't quite work out on the right side with Tino going forward. I thought it was a little bit less dynamic than it was on the left. Like I say, Tino did get forward, but that just didn't seem the same link-up play. Now, whether that was Jamie Miley or whether it was the fact that the lads wanted to get the ball up to Murphy quicker, I don't know. But Tino for me was a little bit off pace. I thought Jamal Lewis had I would say, not a better game, but I thought he was more proactive in his performance. And I was like Winner said, I was pleasantly surprised. He lasted all the way to 74 minutes, and he was substituted by Anthony Munda. And again, I unfortunately didn't get that much of the second half when it was late on, because I was supporting my other half. So I missed the last 15 minutes really. So can you guys give any info on Anthony Munda?
You know, I refer to my previous answer. Yeah,
right, okay.
He had pace. He has some pace. He's got some speed on him. I'll say
Okay.
that it. Yeah.
Okay.
That was my biggest takeaway.
As far as Lewis is concerned, Bia gave him a 5, Jody Toonvalet for 7, and Jam Stasher solid. Let's see if it continues, and that's exactly how I feel.
Well, I'd got him down as a 6. What's your scores?
Well, we've got a 5 and a 7 in the chat, so I'll go along with the 6. I didn't think anyone deserved less than a 7 today, but I'll stick with a 6. Go on.
Okay.
Which is now gone to a 4.
Oh my God. Honest to God, as I said, I don't know what's going on, but there's something that's not quite happy with my keyboard. Or it's 4
again.
4 again.
46 now. Look,
46.
Jesus, come on. I think the Bluetooth part of my keyboard is starting to play up because I've gotten. Now look at that. What the heck?
Now it's changed the shirt number to a 6.
Oh, I tell you, I'm just going to leave it. I'm not going to touch anymore. It stays as a 6 on there. It's driving me bonkers. Jamie Miley, again, pleasantly surprised.
Miley, very pleasant surprise.
I thought he didn't look out of place whatsoever. I thought he was totally justified a place in the team. Again, I hadn't seen much of him apart from highlights in Germany. And obviously it was two teams, two totally different halves there because they only ever played 45 minutes. So for me, he obviously got the assist as well when he passed the ball over to Murphy's wonder goal from deep. Tried some nice long balls. Didn't all come off. Sometimes was...
Few of them did, though.
Yeah. Oh, a lot of them did, especially, there was a lot of long balls. But for me, he was found wanting a little bit in the first 10 minutes. Needed to get his confidence. Because again, don't forget this is the first public appearance in this friendly. So there's a lot more pressure on these players because every supporter wants them to do well. But I was really pleasantly surprised from him. So I'm going to go with your scores first. I want to see what you guys thought of his game.
Yeah, well, I thought he was better than Jamal Lewis. Okay. Not as good as Dan Burn, so I'll give him a nice 7.
Okay, Jim.
No, I liked watching him play. Like you're right, first 10 minutes. Is this his first top tier? Is this his first really go at it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I could imagine needing to shake the nerves off, even if it's a smaller crowd. 10 minutes to get into the groove of things, I think is a good pace to get going. I'd say that I'm definitely anticipating to see more of him in the preseason with a little bit stronger competition than what was provided today. I like that we're going to have another local. I like that it could, if with Longstaff disappearing, as a step in for him right now. Yeah, I'll take a 7 on it especially for his first outing.
Okay, and I think there's a lot of people.
Yes, got a 7.
I'd got him down as a 7. I thought he did tremendously well. So we'll go with a 7.
Let's see.
Hopefully it stays as a 7.
Hey!
Great. And just for information sake, I believe where I've written it down somewhere, and I can't see it now. I know he got substituted. Oh, there you go. Ellis Stanton, 79 minutes. So I thought the lad did so well to last 79 minutes in the championship. That's what you got to remember.
Yeah.
So from me, that was a pleasant surprise for me, that the fact that lad could achieve that. So well done him. Again, I didn't see.
And by the way, just in the chat there, somebody's just saying, don't forget, Tino isn't 100% fit yet.
No, exactly, and that's why I said I wasn't going to go too harsh on him. Because, like I said, there's reasons for it. Because this is his real first game back today. So as much as he's only just started training, like I say, yes, he went over to Germany, but was very little involved because Jamal Lewis played right back in Germany. Yeah, I would have given him a 6. But I'm happy with the majority 7. Because, like I say, because he didn't play bad. I just know he can do better. So go on then. The general in the middle of the park today, which was J7. I thought he did everything right. He got stuck in when he needed to.
And that was the other thing I enjoyed about the game. That they weren't holding back. They were going in for their tackles all the time.
Actually, I was going to say, even if everybody else was holding back, Joe Linton was definitely throwing his body around.
That's exactly right. Yeah, he was the tank that we know he is.
Absolutely.
Yeah, spot on.
Yeah, I mean,
he did lose the ball. He tried doing a Bruno in the middle of the park that nearly cost us.
Exactly. I was just going to say exactly the same. There was a couple of times where he tried one or two of his little tricks, which didn't quite pay off.
No,
because that's not his game, really. He obviously, there was a couple of times where he went in and created the foul, which probably one of them at least would have ended in a card at some point because he held onto the player's shirt. But I thought in general, like I say, he was the gaffer of the team today. Stayed quite deep for most of the game. Didn't go a wondering, which allowed the lads around him to create that holes, and even to the point where at one point Dan Byrne run past him. So yeah, I thought he commanded well. Points.
7 for me.
Yeah.
No,
could have been an 8 if it weren't for the few little lapses that could have been costly.
I think it was just that extra physicality of his that I saw from him than anybody else. I'm going to put him at an 8. I got to mark him higher than Kraft.
Well, like I say, I think you've been generous with Kraft, if I'm honest. But I had him as a 7, so I'm going to go with a 7, as that was the majority.
Yeah, J7, J, Bjerviken, all 7s.
Yeah. Like I say, if he hadn't have lost the ball a couple of times, I think he would have been an 8 easily. Because, like I say, he was the general of the park today. Well, what can we say about Lewis Hall? To me,
ran the show for me.
Yeah, head and shoulders above anybody.
Yeah. Just had an excellent game. As far as I say, I've already said he was my man of the match.
I was just going to ask man of the match.
One occasion when he put the 3 tackles in on the trot.
That defensive tackle that he did inside the penalty area.
On the second tackle, got it on the third tackle, and they had to foul him.
Yeah.
to get the ball back, or he would have been away. I just thought he was like a dog at broth. Excellent. 9 for me.
Yeah, I couldn't disagree more, if I'm honest with you. For me, head and shoulders. Jim, what's your thoughts, buddy?
Yeah, man of the match, 9.
I can't fault. I mean, the ball that he played, the diagonal ball across to Jay Murphy.
That was fabulous. Well, and there was more than one of them.
Yeah, absolutely. But obviously that led up to Isak's goal.
Yeah.
So it was his defensive play because, like I say, he had the mindset to sit in for Jamal Lewis when Jamal Lewis went forward. He also had the mindset to be a little bit more of a general in midfield. He got stuck in today. I am, if I'm honest with you, totally surprised that Chelsea let him go because I think he could be the player this year for us. I really do. Because I honestly believe with our left side, the way it is, we could release him going forward and he could be one of our main creators.
Yeah, I mean, if he can recreate that on a regular basis, we have got some player on our hands there, boy.
Absolutely. So we're happy with the 9 guys, yeah?
Yeah. Everybody in the chat's a 9, man of the match, 9.
Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah, geez, 7 for everybody, but an 8 for Hall, Murphy, Isak.
Yeah. Like I say, everybody's got an opinion, and I'm happy with that. And like I said, there's probably a couple of players that maybe have been overhyped a little, because nobody really had a bad game, apart from one player in my eyes. But we're gonna go over all of that in a minute. Jacob Murphy obviously got a goal, got an assist.
He got an assist. Should have had 2 assists.
Yeah.
If Isak had been on the ball.
Had a really good game, had a steady game. Didn't do much wrong. He came back and supported in defence. Covered a lot of the park. Was really eager to obviously take set pieces. I mean, that shot he had from 35 yards, the old school shot from that little tap and go. And unfortunately, it went straight down the keeper's throat. But, it was on target, and it was low. So he'd had actually controlled the ball beautifully. So, your thoughts?
Yeah, I've said. You want to mark? Sorry, 8.
Yeah. Okay, Jim.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with an 8. I think if we look, he's probably if you look at heat maps after a game, I think his would be that whole right side would be just red. Like I said, I saw him all the way back by the back line. I saw him all the way up front and everywhere in between each time. So, yeah, put in the effort you expect from him at this point.
So, what you saying? An 8?
8.
Jim?
Yeah, 8.
Okay. What's everybody saying in the chat, guys?
We've got Viking only giving him a 6.
Wow.
Okay.
Oh, he did
skied that ball early doors, and the goal was a pass.
The goal was a pass.
It was a cross shot. I totally agree.
It was, but I still think it's a bit harsh because you had a good game.
Well, to be fair,
I'm not Murphy's biggest fan. As you're aware, probably because you're in every show. That when I saw those Murphy stats from last season, you could have knocked me down with a feather.
So I had him as a 7. So what's the consensus? You two at 8?
Yes.
8, 7, 6. So use your.
Can we go with 7?
I'd say 7. Let's go
with a 7. And I think that's a harsh 7.
Yeah, I do as well. I think I thought he did reasonably well today, to be fair. Right then, we're going to go across to Harvey Barnes because obviously we're going to go to wings first. For me,
and probably had his moments, and looks, as you were just saying before, as though there could be something developing there.
Yeah,
between him and Hall.
Yeah, if you notice today, and I'm just going to move him across slightly, he played more of this position with Hall, and then you'd got obviously
then Lewis was up there.
Jamal was up here. Oh, crikey! Jamal was up here supporting him, and then which obviously put Hall in this position here. So he was covering two positions most of the time. And that's why I said, for me, his ball's across to Murphy from this position here. With Murphy crossing directly, what you'd got then is an overload on the left-hand side, as well as Isaac in the middle.
Yeah, there was twice that Murphy crossed the ball. Isaac missed it, and it went through to Barnes, who put it straight back in again.
Yeah, I mean, we did say, didn't we, when we were commentating, that Isaac needs to jump, and obviously then he goes ahead and gets his goal. But
the commentator's curse.
Absolutely. But if I'm honest, the way I looked at this game, for me, he was the worst player on the park for the play that I expected from him against Hull. I'm not saying that he didn't create anything. I'm not saying that he wasn't involved in the game. I just expected a lot more from him. He didn't get involved in any of the link-up play, even though like he came in centrally a lot of the time. And I was thinking one of these times he's just going to roll his body from the left foot to the right foot and to get a shot away. I don't actually think he actually had a shot the entire game. I could be wrong. I could be totally wrong. But for me, didn't light my fire as much as I expected today. What's your guys' thoughts?
Yeah, I think a lot. Him and Kraft were the two poorest players that we had on the pitch when we had our strong 11 on. But I think that I still think they were better. They were better than a 6 for me.
Okay.
So I would say a 7. It's harsh to put Murphy, J7, and Maley in the same bracket as them because they were better.
Yeah.
But we don't do half.
Even taking your point with him having no shots, like even right at the end of the half, when we had the free, I was expecting for him to take it. I wasn't just expecting that little like short to the right for Murphy to go for it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean,
I was expecting Lewis Hall to take it. To be fair,
yeah. I mean, I've got him as a 6, because, like I say, as much as they played a different style today, because, like I say, they totally overloaded the left-hand side multiple times, and he was involved in a lot of the play, the 1-2s and triangles. But I don't think, for me, I saw enough of Harvey Barnes to give him a 7, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, makes perfect sense.
Like I said, for what he can give us on that right foot, being on that inside left position with his right foot, I was expecting him to start seeking out that far post on multiple occasions because we certainly had the opportunities. Even though, like I say, I'm not going to discredit Hull because Hull played well, and they did obviously try and mark Harvey Barnes quite tightly because obviously they realised that he was a threat on his right foot. So maybe that was the case. Maybe it was the fact that again, without watching just solely him, I can't say one way or the other what stopped him playing his natural game. But there certainly wasn't. He wasn't there today as much as I'd like. But again, that's what I said in the past about Harvey Barnes. Harvey Barnes can be the winner, and he can also be the loser.
Jam Stasher saying, I thought Barnes did what he had to do. Sometimes the game just doesn't go through you.
Yeah, it's true. That is excellent. Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
That's the first statement.
Let's go with some figures. I'm just going to. I've just seen in the chat there as well. I'm not looking. I think. Bear with me a second. I think it was Michael who asked about invoices for shirts. I haven't had my shirts yet, mate, but I know they're struggling. Kelly W, sorry. Yeah, question for Gary. Did you get an invoice with the new tops? Well, to be fair, mate, I didn't buy the tops. They were presents, so they've been bought for me. So I haven't received an invoice, but I'm sure, and I've got my missus is putting a thumbs up to me and saying that she has got an electronic invoice, yeah. So, yes is the question, or the answer, I should say. So, what did you guys say for numbers for Harvey Barnes?
Well, I said a 7, but
okay. Jim?
Yeah. No, I'm gonna mark him. I'm gonna mark him 7.
Okay.
Yeah, sometimes the ball doesn't go through you, but then could you be concerned there was a reason we weren't putting the ball through him?
Again, without having.
Go on.
Go on. No. I say without having to rewatch the match and just have a look at him directly to see what the play was like around him. Because, like I say, when you're commentating, you're obviously following the ball. So I'll go with you two. I mean, I don't want to discredit the guy because, like I say, he was linked up with a lot of the play, and he just, if I'm honest with you, I just find it really hard to look at Jamal Lewis with the 6, who looks the worst player on the park, and I thought he had a really good play. I really, and that's the way I look at it. I thought them two numbers should be swapped.
Okay.
I agree with you in that respect. That
but we're going to go with the consensus.
I think
I mean, when I'm saying that, what I mean is, I don't think Jamal Lewis was the worst player on the pitch.
No, nor me.
So,
I mean, I've stopped telling you who would come on because obviously I didn't watch the end of the game, and you guys obviously wasn't really up with the players that come on. So there's no point mentioning the team because from the reports that I've read, the game was slowly disappearing.
It was flat.
It ended the game after 70 minutes, really.
Yeah, the only player that there seems to be a little bit of talk about is Zanussi. There seems a little bit of positivity around Zanussi's play, his speed, his turning ability with the ball, bit of close control at times. So again, they all were saying after the game, according to the reports, that Zanussi is going to be the one to watch. So there you go.
Well, fingers crossed.
See where you go. So we come to the top man, Isaac. Got his goal. Should have had probably at least another one because of his header.
Definitely had one more. He did a Miggy.
Yeah. But I mean, again, he had a steady game. Again, like I said, you don't expect them to be at full pelt. I mean, from the games that we've got some information on, he's now 2-2 from the viewing rates. I mean, like I say, without Burnley being in the system, and that's the same with Murphy. He's got 2 goals in 2 games that have been screened. So, for me, you can't fault that when a player's not 100% at it. It's treated as a friendly in his eyes. He was still sharp enough to get in front of the goalkeeper with that Murphy cross and get his toe on the end of it. And to be fair, I would say I felt sorry for the keeper because the keeper was expecting it to come straight into his lap. And that was just great movement from Isaac on that score. He made some really nice channel runs that unfortunately Tino Livramento, instead of playing ball down the width of the park out wide, he tried to put it into a channel
that's right.
Where obviously Isaac was never going to get to. So again, you can't blame Isaac on that because he's making the runs. He just didn't get the delivery. But I thought he did. It was a very, very steady game. Like you say, could have had a couple more. So your thoughts?
Yeah, well, GTFL said when he was he did a blanket one, 7s all round and an 8 for Isaac, Murphy, and Hall. And okay. I think Isaac gets an 8 because it was a typical Isaac, like a Thierry Henry goal, if you like.
Yeah.
Not a Malcolm McDonald goal. But he doesn't get any more than that because, you're a striker, you're there to score goals, and he missed the tap in.
Yeah.
As well as not going for those 2 headers that were remarked on during the game.
Yeah.
So I think an 8's fair.
Yeah,
as you say, those runs he made were brilliant. He kept on side. All he needed was the ball, and sadly, Tino wasn't quite up to the task.
For Isaac during the preseason, I'm happy with it. I would say if it was like an actual season match, there was probably 3-4 opportunities that I think that he could have done better on. Like say with that pass that ended up going in, there was two other opportunities in the first half that I marked down that I thought were decent for him. We didn't see that like Magic Isaac, like say against Everton, running all the way down and taking on 3 people, but I don't want to see that from him in preseason with Wilson already being injured either. So I think for longevity, great job, yeah, 8. Because I don't want to see him getting stretched out before he even gets to Japan, you know?
Yeah.
And that's actually the thing that I've got underlined in my notes to finish off with. Pre-season friendly and no injuries.
No,
at least none that we know of.
We know of, exactly.
And the point is, it's not no injuries because they weren't putting it about. You know, the reason we haven't got any injuries isn't because we weren't even going in for tackles and stuff like that, because we were going in for tackles.
Yeah. I mean, I cannot disagree with anything that you guys have said. I think, like I say, for me, it was a pleasant surprise, the type of match it was, because it was quite pacey at times. Certainly Hull wasn't sat back and defending. They certainly wanted to come at us. There was a time where I saw Jamal Lewis just with a slight hobble, and I thought, oh, here we go again. But he seemed to manage to run that off. I was just going to have a quick look at what the Magpie, the NUFC TV stats had said, but there's no stats on there regarding player individual performances.
Any stats anywhere for the match.
No, exactly. So what it states is it obviously talks about Alexander Isak, continued where he left off, which is where we've said. Ivor Panda, which is the Hull keeper, made fantastic early saves to deny Joe Linton. Now, did I miss that? Because that must have been really early on when I hadn't got the stream on, because I cannot remember Joe Linton doing anything in the box, but there obviously was. Can you remember that?
I can't. No.
You mean the tackle?
No. It's saying he
had
a shot.
Here.
It was well saved early on.
Yeah. It was denied. It was a header apparently.
I couldn't find the stream until it got to 2 minutes or whatever it was.
So obviously I missed that. So I beg your pardon, because like there was me saying Joe Linton didn't get forward, and there's the report saying he met I think it was a cross from Murphy. Oh, it wasn't. It was Isak's right wing cross. Reading the reports that he met with his head, and it was saved perfectly.
Go on, Jim.
Sorry, Jim.
No. That's I'm trying. It's a long game. I'm trying to recall it, but if it's that early on,
I can't remember Joey Linton having a header on target.
Like I say, it must have been in the first few minutes then when you hadn't got the stream. So we obviously missed that. So again, apologies, because obviously there'll be people out there saying, yeah, he did, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But like it was gone 10 minutes before I actually started watching the stream. But what I'm trying to say is the report itself, it hasn't ruled anybody from having a bad game. And for me, for 4,500 travelling fans that were, by all accounts, singing their heads off, enjoying the game fully, I think the lads put on a performance that, the lads will come home having been down there and be, well, like we were, very, very good day out. And
speaking of
hopefully
the fans,
there's plenty more.
Speaking of fans, it looked like Hull could have doubled our allocation.
Yeah, I mean, it's stupid that, isn't it? The
What do you mean with the amount
of give them tickets, they will come. It's as
Yeah,
simple
I was
as
just
that.
saying there's a lot of empty seats on there on the home side.
And
Yeah.
I don't know whether they expected to sell more themselves or whatever, but it was a missed opportunity for Hull.
Well, the way I look at this now is, and the report that it tells us here, it says, despite blooding a number of youngsters in the second half, Newcastle rarely looked like surrendering the clean sheet or the win. Now, for me, that is positive news for the lads, because obviously when you to get up to match speed and things like that, it takes you a few minutes. The team from 70 minutes had completely changed. The dynamics had changed. Formations obviously need to get changed. But the player that didn't actually feature, which I was surprised at, because both myself and Win and Chris were talking about Karan Gwal. Why do you think he wasn't given an opportunity today?
Well, obviously Eddie doesn't think he's ready.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me whether there's a loan deal in place, or potentially a loan deal, and didn't risk him because obviously Ben Parkinson went up top.
Well, that would account for that. It would also account, hopefully, if Longstaff and Miggy are subject to bids, that would account for why they weren't there.
That's all.
That was the other thing I said on Friday, by the way, because I remember now somebody did say that Miggy and Cher were back in training. So why didn't Cher start as well?
Well, because obviously he's just come back from holiday, and he will be protecting them the same as he's done with Lloyd Kelly. Apparently, this niggle that he's had it's not. He's not protecting him because of the injury. He's protecting him because obviously he wants him up to. For me, he's going to do exactly the same as he did with Lewis Hall. He's going to bring him in slowly but surely and gradually introduce him to the match speed of Eddie Howe.
Right.
And what I think he's trying to do now is not overprotect, that's probably wrong, but protect them to a degree where they don't pick up hamstrings, muscle tears, and he'll do it gradually through the training sessions. Now, I've seen Lloyd Kelly in training now. He seems to be doing the hard yards. Still no sign of target, but obviously he's still individually training. So he should be coming back very, very soon. So if you look at it, the left-hand side, even left centre-back, is finished, isn't it? We don't need any other players at left-back, left centre midfield.
Well covered.
On left.
Yeah.
Still got Gordon.
And we've still got Gordon to come back. Obviously, they're going to be missing Japan, by the way.
Willock.
Yeah, well, Willock's back in training, but again, doing the hard yards as we speak. So he should be featuring in Japan, I hope. But we won't see Anthony Gordon or Trippier in Japan. They've been told to stay away and have an extended holiday. But you should see a few more players return, as well as some of the youngsters again. So it's going to be interesting in Japan.
It will be interesting Tuesday, yeah, it will.
So it'll be one to watch, because, like I say, I would imagine it was going to be a similar to what we've got today, but the bench should be a little bit stronger. That's my thoughts anyway. So I'm going to take that off the screen now, because we don't need that on the screen anymore. Sorry, apologies, guys, because I haven't been catching up with anything that's in the chat, because I've been trying
There's very little in the chat. There's been nothing since 10:03.
No questions that I've missed or anything like that? Okay.
No.
Cool. So overall, guys, if we can just finish on what we've witnessed and everything else, was there anything in the game today that you thought we could have done better?
No, like I say, I thought it was a good day at the office. Good day all round. Valuable piece of training and a nice, pleasant outcome.
Yeah. Jim, yourself?
Where the team is currently sitting at, it was a good game.
Yeah. For me, again, I couldn't fault it. I thought it was positive from the start to the till the point I didn't watch anymore. Like I say, I wanted to be around and watch the youngsters a bit more, but I was listening to the lads in the background, and I'd got it on the TV. But unfortunately, because of having to help the missus, I wasn't watching the
Hang
game.
on a minute, Gary. All of a sudden, I've just got about 35 chats
Okay,
come up all together from 10:02.
Okay,
That's
they've
it.
been.
I
That's
don't
what I
know.
said.
I don't,
There's gremlins in the
No
system. I think today.
injuries. No injuries.
apparently, Madueke's playing well for Chelsea against Celtic.
Yeah, well, he's not coming to us then if he's playing, as everybody reporting at the minute he's signed.
Be a vacancy as he put Parkinson up front because he's better than Cole.
Yeah.
Just so pleased, no injuries. But yes, the result shouldn't really matter. It's about fitness. I think the result does matter.
For us, you mean?
Well, for the mental confidence, you always, even if it's a friendly, you want to come off with a win to build the confidence. Especially with the young lads, you want them to make, like, you set them up for 2-0, and you could have, and if they came back at a 2-2 draw, that would definitely be a bad on the emotional spectrum for the youngins.
It's a good habit to get into.
Absolutely, and I think that's the thing, isn't it? Winning creates positivity. You know, and I always think when positivity creates confidence, and at the end of the day, it's a roll in, roll on. For me, there's a lot of stop gaps in the team because obviously they're filling players that are still coming back from injury and players that are still out on holiday. So I couldn't have expected anything more from the players. To be fair, I thought the lads did a really good show. The highlight for me was obviously Lewis Hall. I thought Lewis Hall commanded the team very well, supported both going forward and in defence. So absolutely deserved man of the match, and I think that was everybody's said exactly the same across the board. And like I say, I'm looking forward to the Japan tour. I'm hoping the lads can carry this forward.
I don't do Twitter or Instagram, but be a vacancy, and Bruno is on a flight to Japan now.
Yeah, Bruno's meeting them out there. Yeah,
he posted it on Instagram.
Yeah, there's only the two lads that reached the final in the Euros that are still got extended holiday, so they've got an extra week. Bruno's
gets an extra week for 4 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. But again, as after it looks, Jim, you've still got the hard yards while you're training. You know.
Yeah. I know.
It's like I say, I think the lad deserves it just for being best around. If I'm honest. But yeah, I agree. It's an extra week for 7. Well, was it 7 minutes? I thought it was only 4.
It was 4.
Yeah,
it's
4 minutes.
Like 1 regular, 3 extra, something like that.
Yeah, something silly like that. Yeah, something silly. But yeah, guys, like I say, this show is obviously for you as the viewer. So again, I want to thank Jim over there in America. Obviously, my right-hand man, the mighty win.
Couple of things, Gary, because Davey T saying Pope could be a game changer this season. At 1-0, he produced a great save, so instead of 1-1, we went up and made it 2-0. And there's Toon talking. How disappointed is everyone with how Harvey Barnes played? Well, you were disappointed.
Yeah, I was very disappointed. Again, am I disappointed, or is it just me going, oh, well, that's what I expected? Because, like I said, when he was at Leicester, it was exactly the same. You never know what Harvey Barnes was coming on the field because he contributes well, but he just doesn't do enough for me. Not for the type of player that he is. And, you know, we still look at him and we look at the game that he played against West Ham, where he actually won us the game. And everybody's up on the towers, everybody's singing his name. And that's the type of player that I want to see all the time. Somebody who's willing to have a little bit more drive. And I always find that Harvey Barnes sometimes can be, I want to say lazy is the word, but I think he'd rather pass it than have a go himself sometimes. And like I say, that for me, I just expected a little bit more from him. But thanks for the questions.
Agreeing with him, saying Barnes didn't play, was shite. I don't think he was shite, but he didn't play very well.
Well,
and June talk, another very good point there. The one thing about Hall is we've got so many players who love to play the sideways ball, pass it back and forwards along the back. Lewis Hall has one thought in his mind: get it forward. Either run with it or pass it forward.
He's a very positive player, and I think the beauty of him now learning the defensive role, I think he could be an absolute magician in midfield now, because he can be that box-to-box player that can produce something for you. Have you seen this, Jim?
There's the
yeah. I was going to say wages have not been agreed to yet.
Yeah, you've got to look at the contract, buddy. Look at them small prints. Oh, bless you.
Question from Bia. With Miggy possibly on the way out, is Barnes the new 8 figure?
Not while we've still got Longstaff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like I said,
where was he? What's his excuse for not being there?
Well, again, he's not done much because obviously the cricket season, and obviously he's been playing cricket. And
well, I can't imagine that comes into the equation. To be fair,
well, that's what they say, because he's obviously extended. I mean, the cricket season's still going. When he returned the same time as everybody else, so is he still having problems with this ankle? Is there something with this ankle?
He can't be having many problems with his ankle if he's fast and medium bowling.
Well, this is what I keep saying. There's so many questions about, where are these players? So the only excuse for him not being involved is that there could be somebody looking for him. There could be a bid in the background. If Gordon was on the left wing, would we have ripped him a new fight? Yeah, potentially, yes. Absolutely. I mean, if Gordon was on the left wing, we could have done that too. Because I don't think they would have actually kept up with Anthony Gordon at all. No. But that's why I said it is exciting, because we've now starting to see a little bit more depth in the squad with the young uns. I know they're not going to be Premiership work, not yet anyway. But I'm hoping in the next 18 months we could start to see a little bit of a shift coming our way, rather than going out and looking at spending lots and lots of money. Have we got something that can make us, going for the elite player, one player, because we've got academy players coming up in the ranks. So there's a lot of positive work there. There's a lot of positive news, and it's nice to talk positively about the Toon, isn't it? Because we've for the last week or so it's been a bit negative with what's happening with Eddie and Amanda.
I haven't been negative.
No, but there's been a question mark around the Toon for a few weeks now. So
everybody's
it's nice to see.
We haven't signed anybody yet. We're going to sign somebody.
Yeah. Well, like I say, I still think there's still a few things to happen. Like I say, there's reasons why these players are on the ground playing football. So Miggy, Longstaff, there could be still some outgoings before we have incomings. Trust me. So watch this space. Like I said, thank you so much to Jim. You've been an amazing accompaniment tonight. The mighty win, my right-hand wing, as always, doing a grand job for me. And anybody out there, like I say,
Jim wanted to say something there.
Yeah, I just want to say, before you guys go, anybody all season long, if you're coming to Nashville for any type of vacation, any type of holiday, any type of business trips, you can find us on Twitter at Music City Mags. You can find us on Facebook. We have a page, Music City Magpies. We have a group called Toon Army Nashville. We have a dedicated bar that is going to be opening up for every match. Remember, we are 6 hours behind you, so even at say a 6:30, 8 a.m. kickoff for us, we will have a spot for you to come watch with us.
Excellent. Brilliant.
Excellent.
That's lovely news, my friend. Guys, just before you go, don't forget to smash the likes and subscribe. Ring that bell, because obviously we have daily stuff going on throughout the... You do worry me when you... thought he was.
I thought Jim was going to offer our bed then.
I'm not that social.
What are you going to say? Yeah. What time is the plane? I'm on my way, lad. So yeah, like I say, guys, hit the smash the likes, subscribe, and obviously give us a ring of that bell. We do daily content, and we are starting to grow as a channel. So again, we can't grow unless you guys are out there watching. So thank you very much, everybody, for watching. Apologies, because like I say, it wasn't the format that I expected. You looking at my nose for an hour and a half, but I will try and sort out this camera for the next shows. So again, thanks very much.
To finish on a super positive, Davey T there. So, no Bruno, Tenali, Longstaff, Willock, Wilson, Shea, Botman, Kelly, Gordon, Trippier, and Miggy. If they were all fit, we have a great squad.
Absolutely.
Just need a couple of good signings, and that's exactly where I am.
We are a squad growing, and that's what you've got to think. So, from myself and the lads in the panel, thank you all.
We're the lads. Bye-bye now.
Lasses.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks for having me.
No problem, buddy. Thanks for coming. Take care, everybody.